Our men are almost worn out with the constant marches and fatigues of the campaign, but the army is well disposed and will try to make the best of it. I wish I could tell you that I was coming home to see you. Instead, I am going to build me a house in the woods.
On December 19, 1777, the Continental Army marched into Valley Forge. General George Washington chose this location as a winter encampment for a mix of defensive, logistical, and political reasons. Yet Valley Forge lacked one thing necessary for his 12,000 troops: shelter from the wind, rain, and snow. Soldiers had to construct their own housing by felling trees and transforming the area farmland into a city of log huts. Huts were not built prior to the Army's arrival, so at first, soldiers had to sleep in wedge tents. You can see rows of wedge tents in this detail of Walter Stewart's portrait by Charles Willson Peale. Approximately 6 soldiers would have huddled together for warmth within one wedge tent, but they would not necessarily stay in there all together all the time. Sergeants regularly assigned soldiers to sentry duty. As a sentry at Valley Forge, you stood guard and controlled access to the Continental Army's winter encampment. The Continental Army also transferred soldiers to nearby hospitals when they fell seriously ill from epidemic disease. Wedge tents took a lot of abuse from the elements. They also traveled by wagon in the Army's baggage train, which did not always keep up with soldiers on the march. So, soldiers without a wedge tent would build large brush huts made of thick evergreen branches, much like the one shown here in Xavier Delegata's painting of the Battle of Paoli. It depicts a brush hut that Brigadier General Anthony Wayne's troops would have built in September 1777, 3 months prior to the Continental Army's march to Valley Forge. Valley Forge became the site for the first large-scale construction of living quarters for the Continental Army. Soldiers built 1,000 to 2,000 huts from a variety of oak, with some chestnut and hickory trees. A squad of 12 soldiers would live in each enlisted hut. Approximately 250 to 400 women followed their enlisted loved ones, and some brought their children with them. They potentially raised the occupancy of some huts. Today, you can see reconstructed huts throughout the park, especially at the Muhlenberg Brigade, which is stop 2 on the park's driving tour. Keep in mind, however, that these huts represent the ideal General Washington wanted soldiers to build. He specified the dimensions for the huts as an attempt at standardization, but even so, a high degree of variation persisted. Not everyone knew how to build structures such as these, especially with a lack of tools. We know that Pennsylvania and New England troops favored saddle notches for forming the walls, while Southern troops preferred dovetail notches. Soldiers used the materials they had readily available for roofing. Some had shingles, yet other huts had thatched or sod roofs. And by digging 3 feet into the ground, soldiers did not need 3 feet of logs. So instead of this hut, you might have also seen a hut that looked like this. Home sweet home. Just not sweet smelling. But that's another story. If you were encamped at Valley Forge, how would you build your hut? How well would you coordinate with 11 other people to construct it? Let us know.